The air smells like pine needles and propane when you pull up to the old family cabin. Your daughter's asleep in the back, her cheek pressed to the car seat holding the stuffed fox she won't go anywhere without. You linger for a second with the engine running, staring at the crooked shutters, the faded welcome sign your dad painted a decade ago. Funny how some places freeze in time even as the people in them keep cracking. You step out into gravel that crunches too loudly. The front door opens before you even knock. Your mom's arms are already spread like she invented the idea of a hug. She smells like expensive detergent and the cold judgment of a woman who always thought you were a bit much. Behind her, your dad nods. Not warm, just polite, like someone acknowledging a neighbor's sprinkler schedule. Your brother's there too, leaning against the counter, arms crossed, smiling that half smile like he's never had to try for anything. His voice carries the same weight it always did, light, easy, and entirely unbothered. Took you long enough, he says, like you didn't just drive 3 hours alone with a 5-year-old who gets carsick after 20 minutes. You don't fight. You never do. That's the unspoken deal. You show up, you play nice, and in return, you get exactly zero emotional oxygen. It's been years since you expected anything else. Your daughter wakes up groggy but excited. She runs ahead, clutching her fox, and the moment she sees the swing in the yard, she's off. She laughs. That innocent bell-clear kind of laugh that makes your chest ache. You almost feel grateful for the trip for a second. But then your mom says, "You know, she's getting a little old for that toy, right?" It starts small as always, a jab disguised as concern. You deflect with a smile. You've mastered the art of not reacting. Dinner is grilled chicken, your dad's specialty. Your daughter asks for ketchup, and your brother makes a face like she's requested motor oil. He mutters something about kids today, and you wait for someone to correct him. No one does. They never do. That night you sleep in the musty guest room with the squeaky fan and the curtains that don't fully close. Your daughter cuddles next to you, whispering stories to her fox, and for a moment you pretend this is how it's supposed to be. A family trip, shared memories, stability. But you know better. You know this family has cracks that go all the way down. You've walked this tightrope for years trying to stay balanced while everyone else pretends there's no rope at all. In the morning, your daughter wants to play tag. You sip coffee while watching her run through the yard. Dew on her sneakers, hair, and tangles that squeal of joy when she jumps from the edge of the porch. And then, a sound. A sickening sharp crack followed by a scream that rips through your spine like lightning. You're already running before you even realize what happened. She's on the ground, curled in on herself, crying so hard she can't breathe. Her legs twisted, her foot at a wrong angle. You go to lift her, but she screams again, and your hands shake. She just fell, your dad says from the porch, squinting like it's an inconvenience. She's fine, your mom adds. Kids cry, you coddle her too much. Your brother, leaning against the railing with his mug, says, she probably just scared herself. You look at them like they've grown second heads. Is this a joke? You point to her leg. It's not supposed to bend like that. She can walk it off, your dad grunts. No need to overreact. Overreact. That word they love. That word they wield like a blade. But your daughter is still crying, shaking her little hand, gripping yours like it's the only thing tethering her to the world. You pick her up anyway, gently, carefully, whispering calm into her ear. You carry her to the car while she sobs into your chest, and no one, not one of them, offers to help. They just watch. And when you drive away, tires crunching over gravel like bones, no one tries to stop you. No one follows. It's a long road to the nearest hospital. Your daughter whimpers the whole way, her fingers clutching your arm, her breath hiccuping with every bump in the road. You tell her it's okay over and over, even though your voice is shaking too. Because the truth is, you're not okay. And this isn't just about a broken leg. This is about a family that sees pain and calls it drama. A family that looks at suffering and says she'll get over it. And maybe this time you won't. The hospital waiting room is cold in that way. Only hospitals manage air condition beyond comfort, as if numbing the body might also numb the panic. Your daughter's head rests in your lap, her cheeks still wet, her breath slowing now that she knows she's somewhere that might finally help her. Nurses move with quiet urgency, and the woman at the front desk gives you a kind of look you haven't seen all weekend, concern real and undiluted. They bring her back for x-rays quickly. You stay beside her, holding her hand through the thin white sheet, brushing sweaty curls from her forehead. She tries to be brave, squeezing your fingers instead of crying again. When the technician gently turns her leg to get a better angle, she flinches hard and lets out a tiny yelp, and you bite down so hard on your own grief that you taste blood. You already know what the x-rays will say, even before the doctor returns with the printed film and the practiced tone. Yes, it's a break, not just a sprain, not just a bruise. A clean fracture along the tibia. She's lucky it wasn't worse, he says, as if luck had anything to do with it. He schedules a pediatric orthopedic consult and reassures you that the cast will heal her leg completely in a few weeks. But it's not her leg that worries you. It's the other fracture, the one that's been growing beneath your feet for years, hairline at first easy to ignore. Now it's unmistakable and irreversible. You sit in the hospital room for 3 more hours while they cast her leg and give her ice chips and a sticker for bravery. You text your mom the update. She replies finally, poor thing. You should have been watching her better. And there it is. Not is she okay? Not do you need anything, just a veiled dig dressed up as empathy. It hits harder than the diagnosis. You don't reply. Not yet. You reread the message a few times, like maybe the words will rearrange into something more human. They don't. By the time you're back in the car, your daughter's exhausted. She falls asleep before you even leave the parking lot. One small foot, now wrapped in plaster and striped with tiny pink hearts, sticks out awkwardly from her car seat. You drive in silence. No music, no calls. Your phone vibrates as you turn onto the gravel road leading back to the cabin. A message from your brother. So, what's the verdict? Was it really broken, or just one of her usual performances? Performances. You almost stop the car right there, almost turn around. But you keep going. Not for them, never again for them. When you pull up to the cabin, no one comes outside. Not even to help you with the door. You carry your daughter again carefully, her weight heavier, now that exhaustion and heartbreak have set in. The cast makes her bulkier. You take every step like you're crossing a minefield. She stirs when you lay her down, murmurs something half-dreamed, then slips back into rest. You walk into the kitchen where they're all gathered, your mom wiping the counters unnecessarily, your dad pouring another cup of coffee, your brother tapping on his phone like the world doesn't exist beyond his screen. She has a fracture, you say plainly. They barely react, a single eyebrow lift, a shrug. Your mom doesn't even turn around. Then your dad says, well, maybe next time she won't leap off the porch like a maniac. She wasn't leaping, you reply, trying not to raise your voice. She's 5, your mom says, finally turning to face you. She needs boundaries. You've never been good at those. You blink at her, hard. She's 5. She needed help, and all of you just stood there. She needed discipline, your brother mutters. Not a helicopter mom. You don't know what response you expect, maybe remorse, maybe even just some minimal acknowledgement that your child suffered in front of them and they did nothing. But all you get are defensive shrugs and offhanded shrugs, like you're the one who's inconvenienced them with reality. They turn back to their tasks, scrambled eggs, dish towels, a new pot of coffee, as if this is just another morning. As if your daughter isn't upstairs with a leg in a cast. As if her pain was a footnote to their weekend plans. And that's when something inside you begins to settle. Not in a peaceful way, but in that cold, still way, just before something breaks. You sit at the far end of the table not to eat, not to talk, just to watch. You look at these people who raised you, shared birthday cakes and old camping trips and silent car rides, and realize with a quiet certainty that you've never really been safe with them. Not truly. Not emotionally. Not even physically, if today is any proof. You sip water just to do something with your hands. The eggs smell like nothing. The toast crunches too loudly when your brother bites into it. I'm going to take her home tomorrow, you say flatly. Early. No one argues. No one says they'll miss you. No one even asks if you'll be okay. And in that moment, you realize you're already gone. The next morning, you wake before the sun. Not out of rest, but from the ache of your own thoughts. You lie there in the creaky guest bed, staring at the wood-paneled ceiling, listening to your daughter breathe steadily beside you. The cast on her leg pokes awkwardly out from under the blanket, decorated now with a single scribble in blue marker, something the nurse added with a wink, "Be brave, fox girl." You run your fingers gently over her hair and wonder how you're supposed to teach someone this small and sweet that love isn't supposed to hurt. By the time the house stirs, you've already packed. Her favorite snack's the backup fox in case the original gets lost. The charger for the tablet she only gets on long drives. Everything's tucked away like a parenthesis closing on a chapter you never asked to write. You carry your bags out first. No one helps. Your dad walks right past you with a fishing rod grumbling something about weather. Your mom's on the phone pacing by the window, voice low and full of sugary tension, probably telling Aunt Linda that you're making everything dramatic again. Your brother's watching a show with the volume too high, pretending not to notice you struggling with the door. You carry your daughter next. She doesn't want to be carried, says she can do it herself. But the cast is new, and you can tell every bounce sends a flash of pain through her tiny frame. So you scoop her up careful and calm, and she buries her face into your shoulder with a sigh that sounds far too grown up. As you strap her in, your mom finally steps onto the porch. She's holding a Tupperware of leftover fruit salad, the same kind she always makes, even though no one really likes cantaloupe. Take this, she says, holding it out like a peace offering. You pause. We're good. Her mouth tightens. You don't need to be so cold. You say nothing, because if you speak now, it won't be kind. She shifts her voice lower. You really need to let go of things. Holding on to every little moment it's not healthy. You almost laugh, because your daughter couldn't walk, because they stood there, because this isn't little. But you don't laugh. You just close the car door gently but firmly, like you're sealing off a space that never truly wanted you in it. The drive is silent at first. Your daughter's still drowsy, her head resting against the window. You glance at her now and then, at the way she rubs the little bandage on her arm from the IV, and you feel it again, that molten mix of rage and guilt, and something sadder underneath it all. Something like mourning. At a red light, she speaks. Mommy. Yeah, baby. Are we going back to the house with the swing? Yeah. You breathe in, then out. No, sweetheart, not anymore. Okay, she thinks. Then adds, can we get pancakes? You blink once hard. Yes, we can get pancakes. You find a small diner off the highway, the kind with sticky booths and too many signs on the walls. Your daughter orders chocolate chip pancakes and hot chocolate with a mountain of whipped cream. You sip coffee and try to shake off the feeling of being boiled alive in your own skin. When the server brings the food, she smiles at your daughter. That's a fancy cast, she says. You a superhero or something? Your daughter nods solemnly. I'm Fox Girl. The server grins. Fox Girl, well, Fox Girl's got super strength. She's gonna be just fine. And that's when the tears finally come. Not hers, yours. Silent, traitorous tears that fall straight into your coffee. You keep your face low, keep your hands steady. But they come anyway. Because for the first time in 48 hours, someone, anyone, sees her. Sees you. You tip big. You always do, and people are kind for no reason. When you get home, you text your family one final update. She's home healing, we're fine. No one replies. You're not surprised. You didn't send it for them. That night, you help your daughter into bed and read 3 stories instead of 1. You let her keep the bedside lamp on. She wants the fox to sleep beside her and the backup fox just in case. She kisses your cheek and says, I love our house better. You kiss her forehead. Me too. And when she's asleep, really asleep, you go downstairs and sit alone in the quiet. You scroll through old photos on your phone, the beach trip when she was 3, her first Halloween in the fox costume, that one picture at the cabin where everyone looked happy. You delete it, not in anger, in peace. Some things don't deserve a place in the gallery anymore. Some things deserve to break and stay broken. The next morning, the silence in your home feels like relief instead of punishment. There are no sidelong glances across the kitchen, no muttered critiques about sugar intake or screen time. Just you, your daughter, her crutches tucked beside the couch, and the soft sound of cartoons in the background while you make toast. You think the worst is behind you. Then your phone buzzes. It's a message from your brother. Just a screenshot, a text thread. You click it. You shouldn't, but you do. It's a group chat, not the family group you're technically in. A separate one you were never meant to see, one with your parents and him. The first message is from your mom. Can you believe she actually went to the ER? Then your brother. She always has to make it into a production. Poor kid's probably just fine. Then your dad, blunt as ever. You don't toughen up by running to doctors every time you fall. The messages go on. You scroll numbly. Honestly, she's raising that girl to be soft. Bet she'll milk this for sympathy. I give it a week before she posts some sad little story on Facebook. You stop reading. You stare at your reflection in the black screen, holding your breath like the air might shatter. Then you look over at your daughter, still smiling, still laughing at a cartoon, still whole despite them. And despite what you feel in this moment, betrayal, disbelief, fury, what you really feel underneath all of it is clarity. You have no obligation to people who treat your pain like punchlines. You don't even bother replying. You just exit the thread. Take a screenshot for your own memory's sake, then delete his message from your phone. Block, tap, done. Clean as a scalpel cut. Later that afternoon, your mom calls. You don't answer. She leaves a voicemail. She says she's worried about the distance between you all. She says misunderstandings happen in families. She says no one meant to hurt anyone. She doesn't say sorry, not once. You don't return the call. 2 days pass, then a week. Then a text from your dad. Hope you're done being dramatic. We're not the enemy. You delete that too. And just like that, the cord starts to fray. What used to feel like steel cable holding you to them, blood guilt duty suddenly feels more like spider silk. Fragile, transparent, and easy to walk away from. But it's not all clean. Of course it's not. You cry into your pillow more than once. You second-guess yourself. You replay that day at the cabin like a film you can't stop editing. Should you have screamed louder, demanded they help? Maybe you could have made them see. But then you remember the messages. You remember the toast crunching in silence, the way no one flinched when your daughter cried. You remember that they did see. They just chose not to care. You start noticing what life feels like without them in it. Lighter, more spacious. Like you finally opened a window in a room you didn't know had been suffocating you. You take your daughter to the park, crutches and all. She insists on trying the slide and you let her. She squeals the whole way down and lands in the mulch with a thud and a giggle. A mom nearby nods at you. Good for her, she says. A lot of parents don't let kids do anything once they're hurt. You smile, but it catches in your throat. Because you know the truth, your daughter isn't scared to fall again. You were the one afraid she wouldn't survive another betrayal. That night, your daughter asks to video call Grandma. You pause, then say gently, Grandma said some things that weren't very kind. Right now, I think it's best if we take a little space. She thinks about this. Is Grandma mad at me? You feel your stomach twist. No, baby. And even if she was, that wouldn't be your fault. Grown-ups are supposed to keep kids safe. That's their job. She nods slowly, like you do, and it lands like a stone dropped into a still pond. Because yes, that's what you do. What you've always done. Even when no one ever did it for you. Even when it hurt. Even when it was lonely. Even when your hands shook and your voice cracked and your heart broke quietly behind closed doors. You protected her. And now, you're finally learning to protect yourself. You think they'll let it fade, that they'll feel the silence pressing in and decide it's better than confrontation. But no, 2 weeks later, your mother sends a message. It's a group text again this time, the usual one. The one with your name in it. We're having brunch Sunday. Hope you two can come. Family's family. You stare at it for a while. That last line, family's family. It's meant to be a guilt hook, soft and baited. But to you, it's just another way of saying, we're allowed to hurt you and still expect your presence. You leave it unanswered. The next day, your brother chimes in. Just bring the kid. No drama. It's not about you. You set your phone down before you hurl it. The gall, the nerve. No drama. It became about you the moment they blamed your daughter for her own pain, and then blamed you for defending her. You let the text rot in the notification bar. Sunday comes. Instead of brunch with them, you and your daughter make waffles in the kitchen. You let her choose the toppings. She goes wild blueberries, peanut butter sprinkles. She limps from the fridge to the counter like a one-legged pirate, and you cheer her on like she's winning a marathon. And you do something new. You take a picture. You post it. Just a snapshot of her smiling at her mountain of toppings with the caption, "This is family." You know they'll see it. You know they'll read between the lines. But for once, you don't care about their reactions. You don't write to provoke. You write to claim something. And that's when it hits you, you've stopped performing. You're not writing for their approval anymore. You're finally telling your own story. Later that night, while your daughter is coloring on the kitchen floor carefully, keeping the crayon lines inside the shape of a fox, you get another message. From your dad. You think you're better than us now? It's not a question. It's an accusation wrapped in wounded pride. You don't reply. He follows up with, "You've always been the dramatic one." You get that from your mother's side. You laugh out loud this time. An actual laugh. Because the irony is so rich, you could spread it on toast. You think about the years you spent trying to avoid that label. The way you held your tongue, softened your opinions, smiled even when you were dying inside. All just to avoid being called too much. But here's the truth, you were too much for them. Too outspoken, too sensitive, too willing to see the things they preferred to bury. And now, you're exactly enough for the life you're building. A few days later, you walk into your daughter's school for pickup. The teacher pulls you aside. She holds up a drawing. She made this in class, said it's her family. You look at it. It's 3 figures, a big one, a small one, and a fox, all holding hands. No grandparents, no uncles. Just you, her, and the quiet animal that's been there through it all. She said the fox is for being brave. The teacher smiles. You feel your throat tighten. She is, you say softly. She really is. On the way home, your daughter tells you she wants a picnic for her birthday. Outside with sandwiches and maybe glitter. You nod, anything you want. You don't invite anyone else. Instead, you spend the next few evenings planning it with her. You let her choose the napkins and the music and the color of the paper lanterns. She wants a fox cake. You find a bakery that'll do it. The day of the party is sunny, bright, the kind of weather you used to wish for during childhood, even though no one ever seemed to notice when it arrived. You watch your daughter blow out the candles. You clap with the others. And for once, you're not wondering what your family would think of any of it. Because they're not here, and it's better this way. You think you've closed the chapter neatly finally without a bookmark. But of course your family doesn't leave stories alone. They barge back in mid-sentence hands, dirty feet stomping, pretending they were invited. It starts with your mom showing up unannounced. She rings the bell 3 times, not once, not patiently, the way people do when they assume the door should open. You watch her from the upstairs window for a moment. She's holding something, cookies maybe, a peace offering in Tupperware form. You don't move. She rings again. Your daughter hears it. "Is that Grandma?" she asks, eyes wide. You hesitate. "I think so. Are we gonna let her in?" And there it is, that question that holds centuries of women behind it. Do we let them in, the ones who hurt us and say they didn't mean, to the ones who hide harm under hospitality? You kneel beside your daughter. Do you wanna... She looks at you, really looks, then shakes her head. "Not today." You nod. Okay. Downstairs, you wait until the ringing stops. You wait until the long silence that follows. Then comes the voicemail. Her voice is trembly. Not quite crying, but auditioning for it. "I just wanted to talk. You can't keep her from me. That's not fair. I didn't do anything wrong and you know it." You breathe slowly through your nose. You save the message. Not because it matters, but because it confirms what you already knew. She didn't come to apologize. She came to reframe the story, to scrub herself clean. You text her finally. This isn't about punishment. It's about safety. She doesn't respond. A week later, your brother calls. You don't pick up. He tries again and again. Eventually, a voicemail. You seriously going to ice us out forever over one mistake? You rewind it. Play that part again. One mistake. Not the group chat, not the gaslighting, not the refusal to take a screaming 5-year-old to the hospital. Just one mistake, apparently. That night, you sit on your back porch while your daughter draws constellations in sidewalk chalk. She's laughing with a neighbor kid. The air smells like grass and possibility. You sip tea, watch the stars start to bleed through the blue, and realize something unsettling, they're not going to change. Not in the way you once hoped. Not in the way you sometimes still dream when you're too tired to guard your heart. They'll twist, they'll plead, they'll minimize, but apologize. Take ownership. See the hurt through your eyes. No, they don't speak that language. You used to think families were like trees, rooted, fixed, impossible to separate from. But now you see the truth, some trees grow rot deep inside. And cutting yourself loose isn't destruction. It's self-preservation. You draft a message. Stop showing up, stop calling, I'll reach out when and if I'm ready, not before. You sit with it. Then you hit send. It doesn't feel triumphant, just quiet, firm, like closing a window in a storm. The next day, your daughter asks to visit the playground. She hobbles across the mulch with her crutch, grinning when she sees the slide. I think I'm ready. You hover as she climbs, heart pounding, but you let her do it. She sits at the top for a while, then pushes off and lands like a champion, both arms in the air. I did it, she shouts. Yes, you did, you smile. And maybe it's just a slide, but maybe it's also a declaration. You're healing too, slowly. Not in casts and stickers, but in boundaries and silence. And maybe that's enough for now. The days begin to stretch. Without your family in them, time has more space. Mornings don't feel like battles. Conversations don't carry subtext like landmines. You're not waiting for someone to say the wrong thing, you're just living. You start to notice how much quieter your mind is. How without the running loop of second-guessing their every word, you can hear your own thoughts again. You hadn't realized how many of them used to sound like your mother's voice. Or worse, your brother's laugh. At work, you begin speaking up more. Not in a brash way, just enough to reclaim something. You pitch an idea in a meeting without downplaying it first. When it's well received, you don't flinch. You say, thank you. You let the praise land. You start therapy. Just one appointment at first, then another. You don't go there to rant about your family. You go to understand why you stayed so long in their shadow, why you believed you deserved that kind of love. And what grows from that space is astonishing. Your therapist asks you a question in the third session. Who did you have to be to survive in that family? You answer too quickly, small. She nods. And who do you want to be now? You don't have a word for it yet, but you feel it. It's something bigger. Someone that doesn't flinch at kindness. Someone that doesn't need to perform stability for people who can't even spell the word. Your daughter starts walking without the crutch. Just a few steps at first, slow and careful. She doesn't cry when she stumbles. Instead, she laughs. I'm like a baby deer, she says. You laugh with her, a very determined one. You notice the way she's watching you too. The way she mirrors your calm when something breaks. The way she says, that's not okay when someone is rude. She's growing into a version of strength that's soft, not brittle. And that tells you something vital, whatever else happened. You didn't pass on the damage. One night while she's asleep, you scroll through old photos again. You pause on one of you and her at the cabin, before the break, before the betrayal. She's grinning with a juice box. You're in sunglasses. It looks like peace. But now you know it wasn't. You don't delete it. You don't need to. You simply move it to a folder called Before. Not to forget, but to contain. The next morning, you get a message. Not from your mom, not from your brother, from a cousin. Someone you haven't heard from in years. Someone who watched from the sidelines. Hey, I heard what happened. Just wanted you to know I think you did the right thing. It's a strange feeling, validation without obligation. You reply with a simple thank you, and it feels enough. Because that's the thing. When you stop trying to extract empathy from people who are emotionally bankrupt, you start finding it in places you never expected. In strangers, in neighbors, in yourself. You start trusting your instincts again. Your daughter's school announces a parent volunteer day. The old you would have said no, too busy, too awkward, too exposed. But now you sign up. You help decorate the gym. You glue paper stars to string while your daughter beams from across the room. You talk to another mom about cast care and glitter slime, and how hard it is to raise kind kids in a sharp world. And you feel it again. Not joy exactly, but solidity. The next time your phone rings and shows your mom's name, you let it go to voicemail without hesitation. Later, when you listen, it's another word salad. Your brother's birthday is coming up. I thought maybe you'd stop being stubborn by now. This is tearing the family apart. No apology, just expectation. You delete it before it finishes. That night your daughter asks, can we visit the beach sometime? Like we did before. You hesitate. The beach trip she remembers was with them. But you nod, yes, just us this time. You book a weekend trip. You pack her favorite snacks, the new swimsuit with the rainbow stripes, and a ridiculous beach umbrella shaped like a mushroom. And when you sit there on the sand watching her build lopsided castles with a plastic shovel, you feel something sink and settle inside you. A weight that's finally found ground. Not every scar needs to fade to stop hurting. Some just need to stop being touched. The beach trip is like pressing reset on your nervous system. The first morning you wake up to the sound of waves instead of old anxiety. There are no footsteps pacing the hall outside your door, no clinking dishes in the kitchen announcing someone's passive-aggressive generosity. Just gulls whined, and your daughter laughing through the crack in the balcony door. She's already in her bathing suit, hopping on one leg like a flamingo while brushing her teeth. Come on, Mom. You said we'd be there early. You smile, it's not forced, it rises easy. You throw on your oldest hoodie and head out barefoot carrying a bucket and two mismatched towels. The sand is cool beneath your feet. She runs ahead, trailing laughter like streamers. This time there's no one watching your parenting. No unsolicited remarks about sunscreen or snack portions. No whispered judgments disguised as concern. Just you and her and the breeze building something new, one shovelful at a time. You both get sunburned just a little. You both eat soggy sandwiches with too much mayo. You both fall asleep that night tangled in separate beds in the same room, exhausted and content. And for once you don't dream about them. You dream about water and light, about walking away and not looking back. When you return home, there's a postcard in your mailbox. No return address. Just 2 lines written in your mother's angular handwriting. You don't get to erase us. We're still your family. You flip the card over. A generic photo of a meadow, probably from some rack at the grocery store. Something that tries to look peaceful but feels hollow. You leave it on the counter. Later that night, you let your daughter shred it. She thinks it's hilarious. Can we do that to junk mail too? Yes, baby, all the junk. Your brother tries again a week later, an email this time. It's longer, more polished, full of sentences like, we may have made mistakes, and it's hard to watch you cut everyone off and the perennial favorite, this is breaking Mom's heart. But tucked in the middle, you see it. You've always been difficult, and that's all it takes. You close the laptop, you don't scream, you don't cry. You just stop giving it oxygen. You realize something quietly life-altering. You don't owe forgiveness to people who refuse to admit they caused harm. You can let go without letting them back in. You can be the villain in their version of the story and still be the hero in your own. You take your daughter to a new park the following Saturday, one with those big wooden climbing structures that smell like sap and nostalgia. She navigates the stairs with ease now. The limp is almost gone. You sit on a bench and breathe in the scent of grass and sunscreen. Another mom sits beside you. She offers a juice box without asking. You accept. You talk for an hour, about nothing, about everything. About how tiring it is to be both soft and strong. How no one prepares you for raising a kid while trying to re-raise yourself. You tell her the story, just the outline, the cabin, the fall, the fracture. She listens. She doesn't try to fix it, she just nods and says, yeah, that's brutal. I'm glad you got out. And those words got out stick. Because it's true, you escaped. Not from a fire or a war or a storm, but from a legacy of silence disguised as love. From a cycle of denial and blame. From people who only loved you on their terms. That night, your daughter colors a new picture. It's you and her on the beach. Above it, she writes in crooked crayon letters, me and Mom safe. You put it on the fridge, not as art, as evidence. You sit on the couch with a blanket and a cup of tea. You scroll past the family photos people post on social media, smiling siblings, birthday brunches, matching shirts. You feel a twinge, but not the old ache. You know better now. A photo isn't proof of love. Proximity isn't protection. And blood. Blood can betray you just as easily as it can bind you. The seasons shift quietly. School starts again. Your daughter moves with ease, now cast-on crutches stored in the back of the closet like some strange relic. She doesn't limp anymore, not physically. And emotionally, she seems freer than ever. But you're still unlearning the limp inside yourself. You drop her off one morning and stay in the car longer than usual, just sitting there, watching other parents walk their kids to the gate holding little hands, zipping up backpacks, wiping toast crumbs from cheeks. It looks simple, effortless, but you know the stories hiding beneath each clean drop-off, some soft, some jagged. Your phone buzzes again. Not your mother this time, not your brother. This time, it's your aunt, the quiet one. The one who always sat at the corner of family gatherings sipping tea and watching chaos unfold like it was a stage play she'd seen before. Her message is short. You did what they were all too scared to do. I see you. You stare at the screen for a long time. Then type back, thank you. That means more than you know. Because it does. Because even though you've stopped needing their approval, being seen truly seen for your choices still lands like sunlight on frost. That evening, while your daughter is asleep, you clean out the junk drawer, the actual one, stuffed with coupons and rubber bands and mystery keys. But it becomes something else, something metaphorical. You toss the broken pens, the expired coupons, the things that once seemed useful but never were. And it feels good, so you keep going. You pull out an old photo album, one your mom gave you years ago, labeled family in gold script. You flip through slowly. There's your brother on a bike, your parents on vacation, a baby photo of you uncaptioned. You pause on a group shot at the cabin one summer when you thought maybe things were getting better. Your daughter was a toddler in that one, your arm around her, her face smushed into your chest like she already knew where the real warmth came from. You don't rip it up, you just close the album, then slide it onto the bottom shelf behind the board games you never play. You're not erasing, you're just choosing what deserves light. You replace it with a new photo, printed that morning. Just you and your daughter on the beach, wind in your hair sand on your knees, her smile so wide it looks like it might split the sky. You tape it to the fridge, right next to the crayon drawing. Your fridge now tells the story, not the full story, just the real one. You plan a small weekend getaway, just the two of you. Nothing extravagant, a cabin rental ironically, but one far from the old one. New walls, new memories. You bring puzzles and hot chocolate and a flashlight for late night stories. You let her jump on the bed. You let her stay up past bedtime. You let yourself laugh so hard you cry. And in the middle of the second night while she sleeps curled into you, she mumbles in her sleep, "My mom always catches me." And you realize something. It wasn't just about the ER. It was never just about the ER. It was about who shows up when it matters, who runs toward the pain instead of away from it, who lifts, who listens, who believes. It was about the difference between being raised and being supported. And now with a quiet certainty, you know you're not raising her in their image. You're raising her in yours. Autumn settles in gently like the world itself is exhaling. Your daughter starts collecting leaves on your morning walks, naming each one, assigning them roles in some woodland tale only she understands. You let her talk. Let her fill the space with her strange, brilliant stories. And you realize how much room you've made. Not just in your life, but in your mind. There's no longer a part of you rehearsing potential arguments, no constant defense running in the background. You're not scanning texts for hidden barbs or checking the tone of every "how are you" for passive aggression. You are finally at peace until your birthday. It arrives without warning. You've half forgotten it, but your daughter doesn't. She wakes you with a tray she made herself toast with far too much butter, half a banana, and a mug of cold water. "I made breakfast." She beams, eyes wide with joy. "You're the best mom in the world." You swallow back a lump in your throat. "Thank you, sweetheart. This is perfect." But the moment sticks with you like something sharp under soft fabric. Because for years, your birthdays belonged to them. Your mom would make her famous layered cake. Your dad would give you something oddly practical, like jumper cables or a mug warmer. Your brother, he'd show up late, forget a card, and make some joke at your expense right before blowing out your candles. Every celebration came wrapped in conditions. Now your daughter is building new rituals with you. You spend the day at a pumpkin patch. You drink cider that's too sweet, take selfies with silly scarecrows, and laugh until your stomach aches. You realize for the first time in your adult life, you didn't wish for someone else to show up. No part of you missed them. That night when you open your email, there's a message from your mom. Subject line, "We still remember your birthday." You almost delete it without opening. But something stops you. Inside it reads, "We didn't want to make today harder than it needed to be. Just know we love you even if you don't want to hear it." No apology, just the implication that your boundaries are punishment. You sit with it for a moment. Then you archive it. You don't respond. Instead, you open a new tab and book a surprise weekend for your daughter's next school break. A forest cabin, one with a fireplace and board games and big windows. Not a retreat, a reward. For both of you. The next morning, she tugs on your sleeve while you're making coffee. "Do we have to see them for Christmas?" she asks quietly. You crouch beside her. "No, love. We don't have to do anything that makes us feel small." She seems to take that in like it's a magic spell. Okay, she says. Can we just have pancakes and wear pajamas all day instead? Absolutely. And just like that, a new tradition is born. You realize now that you haven't cut them off out of anger, but out of alignment. The person you're becoming no longer fits inside the story they insisted you play a part in. You weren't their scapegoat. You were their mirror, and they didn't like what they saw. So you stopped holding it up for them. You pack away old ornaments. You let your daughter make paper ones with glitter and googly eyes. The tree this year is messy and magical and utterly yours. And when you lie in bed on that quiet December night, the room soft with shadows, and her breath steady beside you, you feel it fully for the first time. This life, this peace, this unhurried, undramatic safety, it isn't small. It's everything. The house is still. Outside, the wind rustles gently through the trees, brushing leaves against the window like the soft turning of pages. The heater clicks once, then hums. Your daughter sleeps curled into herself, cheeks flushed from laughter and leftover joy. And you lie beside that quiet feeling something you once believed was impossible. Not triumph, not revenge, but relief, because you didn't burn bridges, you just stopped setting yourself on fire to keep them lit. You learned to stay with discomfort to feel it without letting it own you. You learned to walk away, not to punish, not to teach a lesson, but because you finally understood. Love without safety is just manipulation wearing perfume. Your life is smaller now, but clearer, quieter, but deeper. And as your chest rises and falls with breath, you realize this is how healing enters. Not all at once, not with a grand gesture, but in the ordinary rhythms that you now trust to hold. The mug you sip from without bracing for critique. The space your laughter fills without echoing against old hurt. The child who looks at you like you're a lighthouse steady even in the storm. Maybe you'll reconnect someday. Maybe not. You don't owe the future any answers tonight. What you owe is presence, a soft return to yourself. So let it be enough that you protected her. Let it be enough that you finally protected you. The past may knock, but peace doesn't answer every door. You breathe long and slow, and if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.